Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you could join us for another week. And Mom and I are super excited. We are welcoming back Tamara Royale with us. She was on episode 81 with us, where we talked about conversations on yoga. And she owns Omies Yoga Studio. And so we're so excited that you're back on with us to further talk about stuff. So, can you kind of give a little bit of an introduction of yourself for anybody that didn't catch the first one, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for having me back. So we first met at the Banff Wellness Retreat, and I was teaching a class there. And I guess my journey in a small summarization was coming to my mat, thinking it was an exercise class, and this will be good physically. And as I practice more, I realize there's so many deeper layers to the practice that become introspective, where you can look at your own growth. And it's almost like once you go there, you can't go back. You've already gone down the tunnel. So you're just learning as you're going. And it introduces you to so many different ways of, I guess, growing yourself to be your best. So it can absolutely be just a physical practice. But for me, it opened the doors to so much more. And I ended up taking my teacher training thinking that it was just to deepen my knowledge. I was never going to teach. And then I came out of there and I felt like I was up on my soapbox and I've got to share this with the world. And it became my passion because I know what a profound impact it had for myself. And I'd love for someone else to be able to experience what I experienced. So that, in a nutshell, is why I love to teach. It's not my full-time job, but I do a lot of it. So I do teach three regular classes a week. I'll do special events. I have been holding retreats lately. We went to Indonesia earlier this year, held a retreat there, did some local weekend retreats, and those are pretty amazing too, just to see the shifts in people and introducing these types of practices. I work with kids doing kids yoga, and I love to see how that teaches them the basics of self-regulation and breath control. If we had that as children, could you imagine where we might be?
Mhm.
I think that's such a powerful thing, and it doesn't have to be a formal practice. It can just be fun and might even look like more like play,
Yep.
but very profound to be able to reach them when they're little and wanting to learn that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I teach mostly in Okotoks, but I will travel around. I've done different areas. We're going to the shoe shop next summer, holding a weekend retreat, doing paddleboard yoga
Oh,
and
fun.
a floating sound bath on the paddleboard. So just all kinds of fun stuff.
Wow.
So
That is,
yeah.
yeah, I think that would be a really interesting one. Actually, I have a girl that I know and she does the sound baths, but like on her pool. So she'll have
Oh,
people come over and then they lay on their floaties and then do the sound bath. I'm like, oh, that just I can't even imagine what like on the paddle board just to like in that kind of situation where you're on the water just to have that connection between the water and the sound would I think would be amazing.
yeah. Yeah.
Water is so grounding and it grounds you immediately if you've looked into the grounding methods, and it reduces the charge in your body. As soon as you touch water, you're grounded, connected to the earth. Our bodies are essentially water, and I've seen some posts about the frequency of sound affecting pools of water, and you can see the ripples in the water. And it made so much sense that we have so much water in our bodies, and how, of course, that would affect us. And it can balance your energies. It can do so much, probably more than we understand, but
Yeah.
very powerful.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so. And then I would think there's some tie to because like usually waters are like so much with the emotions and things like that. So I think, just that releasing when you're doing something like that, being on the water, being,
Mhm.
and obviously feeling safe if you're scared of water.
Yeah. 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 We did have someone come and do that once that couldn't swim. And I thought that was so brave of them that they wore their life jacket, and, if you fall in, you are going to float and we will have you. But everything went well for that person. And I think it really opened new doors for them too, that confidence level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love how yoga too is just like like there's all these different forms of it now, right? Like it just seems like every time you turn around, there's some new kind of way to do it, which I think is wonderful because it's opening up the imagination for people to be able to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't really want to go into a studio, but yeah, on a paddleboard, yeah, put me on that.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is the very first time I ever put a foot on a paddleboard was a paddleboard yoga class. I
Really?
don't know that I would recommend that, but I did it and I was very motivated not to fall off. And I didn't. So, um, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fall in the water. Big deal.
Yeah.
So, and so it's fun. I'm a believer of trying new things, pushing your comfort a little. And I think that's where the growth lies. So if it feels a little scary, but not too scary. Maybe it's something we need to do.
Yeah, agreed. And I know like we've been following you for a while and I often see like the different things you're doing with, doing your exercises on and you were taking pictures out in the forest with nothing on and just really
Yeah.
shedding and but I think that's so brave and I think it's so wonderful that you share this stuff on your social media because it just shows people that we can break through these different barriers of that we have with ourselves. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of those things that you were doing that
Sure, sure. So I think you're referring to the naked yoga classes.
yeah.
So that years ago there was a class locally that was running and I just remember hearing about it. And of course I was never going to go to anything like that. And it turned into a conversation with my friend that I just thought, how what's the scariest thing you could do? Probably naked yoga. That no interest in doing that at all. But how empowering could that be to know that how scary that is that you did it and you're still living at the end. You didn't die. It was okay, and I mean, what a growth that could be into self-love, body love, acceptance, all the things. And of course, my friend being who she is, she's like, well, then you should do it. I was like, what? No, I'm not doing it, and I'm definitely not teaching it. And little, we did 3 classes, and they were so well attended by all different people that you wouldn't think. And it's not what you think. It wasn't to be voyeuristic. It wasn't any, like, I'm sure people are like, why would you do that? It was strictly an empowerment focus, like feeling all the scariest things that, just seems so unsurmountable, but you did it and you grew through it. So we did a very dimly lit room. It was all women. And it really was empowering. Like, if you change your mind halfway through and want to put your clothes on, it's up to you. So that permission seemed to be really helpful. Everybody did it. Everybody felt so empowered through it. And that was my goal. And I had the jitters before. I was like, whose big idea was this? I'm teaching this. What if I just didn't show up? But I think that is a really lovely way of just showing love to yourself that you are so worthy of taking up the space and that you can do the hard things. And it was a really lovely, beautiful experience to see people go through that. There was many tears. We all have some stories, some things we're working through, limiting beliefs, all the things, and that just shatters them all. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I would
yeah.
think I think it would. And I mean, the yoga is so funny because I remember when I went to my first yoga class, it was like, oh God, like I don't know what I'm doing and am I flexible enough to do all the stories that you think about before you go to yoga. And then you get to yoga and you're like, nobody's even looking at me. They're so focused on what they're doing on their mat, which is what it's about.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, okay, I can relax into this. I can just do me and not worry about what the people are doing around me. So even in that case, I suspect even more so people were somewhat focused on their own
Oh, totally.
journey.
Yeah, I think past the initial uncomfort, once we got into it, it was like it didn't matter. And at the very end, it was very natural. We all sat and we all had discussions, but it wasn't like we saw bodies. We just saw people. It was really a beautiful thing. And that is so far from who I am. I'm very like modest that way. So I thought that was very interesting for me to experience that in the teacher seat as well.
Yeah.
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 So what do you think that having done that class and having kind of gone through that journey yourself, what do you think that brought to your life or opened up for you?
Yeah, well, I think it makes it really clear that we can do the things that we find that might be impossible, and it might just be a class, but that really I think it builds your confidence knowing that you can do the hard things. It's not impossible unless you think so.
Yeah.
There's that thought. Whatever you think is true. If you think you can't, then you can't. If you think you
Yeah.
can, you can. I think it's as simple as that. And you can take from it what you want, but I think it really was about this beautiful self-expression and honoring yourself and not caring about judgment. And like you said, there was nobody even looking. They were just more concerned about their own space. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's beautiful. I know I did yoga years ago when they were younger. Actually, I did yoga and then I got away from it. So I need to get back to it. I see that.
Yeah, I have a story to share with you. I have a regular student that comes to one of my classes, and she's lovely, and I've always wanted to get to know her more, but she usually comes in just where we don't have enough time to really talk. And I just recently found out that her age was 87,
Oh,
and
wow.
I would not have and just because her energy and she has this attitude of I can do all the things, and she obviously honors her movement and wouldn't do anything to injure herself. But we were doing a strenuous practice, and we actually did a squat challenge that most of the class was trying to like, when does this end? She did it just like everybody else, and it was pretty amazing. And I find that really empowering. Like, okay, she can do it. Obviously, age is a state of mind. And any stories we tell ourselves about aging and our body issues, and I can't do certain things, that might be true because of injuries, but we absolutely can do some sort of practice. And I love that so much.
I totally agree with you because I'm 74 and
I would
I
not have thought that either.
and I just keep trying to do new things because I want to be the best I can be until I can't, right?
Yeah.
And so I keep challenging myself often on different
Yeah.
levels of what I can do because I want to, and but I've done that along my life too. Like I've gone skydiving because I lost my urge in life to do things and I needed to give a kickstart. So I did
Wow.
skydiving to sort of get that back going and it worked, things like that. So yeah, so I hear that lady. I'm glad to hear that because I was doing squats last night and thought, woo, that's a workout.
Right?
I
Yeah.
haven't done a lot of squats lately.
We did it was like a little new trial that we did it to a song, and the song seemed to be never ending. I
Oh,
I didn't make many friends that class, let's just put
No.
it.
But it's
But
so good for you,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
And I mean, I love that's one thing I do love about yoga too is that like it's our using our own body weight, it's using our own movements. And I think that that is just so important too to realize, we can do it without any equipment.
yeah,
Yes. And it's nice to have certain things, but nothing's required. Like you can absolutely just do it on your living room floor, right? So,
right. She's gonna
yeah.
have
Yeah.
the coffee. Um, that's the thing. You just need a mat and you're all set, right? And
Yeah, and it's nice to have a few things, but they're not necessary, right? And you can make it as simple as you want, and yoga really can be breath. It can be strenuous movement, it can be gentle movement, it can be no movement, and that all is part of it. So I love that, depending on the day, what you're needing, right?
right. I noticed when we were doing the yoga with you at the retreat, you have such a nice flow. Like the way you teach it is a very nice flow, and you give everybody the time to do their breath work and things like that during your yoga. And I really enjoyed it because I hadn't done it for a long time when I went to the retreat and did it with you that time. So um, look her up,
Oh,
people.
thank you.
She's good.
Yeah, I guess my approach is I really like to offer challenges, but give lots of variations too. So of course, um, everyone's if people come to class and they're usually coming right up to me like I have this injury, and I said, okay, that's good to know. But I think if we had everybody in the class and said, okay, who has some sort of injury, all the hands are going to go up. So that's just life, and we're just going to have to work with how we know our body best. and empower you in a safe way, but also don't take that for being easy. You can still challenge yourself in some ways, right? So it depends on our mentality. If we want to always take the easiest route out of fear, then are we really serving ourselves the best? Can we find some physical, mental challenge where we're going to grow in a way that's safe? I think that's where the magic is.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree with that
Yeah.
too. It was actually funny because I just recently went to the gym with my son, and it was sort of a similar experience because he's like, "Okay, Mom, how much weight do you think you can lift for this exercise?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, 10 pounds." It's like, okay. So he gets me in my weight and I do the exercise. He's like, you need a heavier weight. Like you just like rip those out like nobody's business. So he gets me a heavier weight. I'm like, I'm unsure. He's like, just try it. So I
Yeah.
do. I do it fine. He's like, yeah, you can actually probably go a little bit heavier, but you can stay with that weight. But I said, my thing is, I always go for the lowest weight. He's like, that's a very bad mental attitude. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is because you just hold, like you were saying, is what thought of it is you're holding yourself back by, taking not the easy route, but sort of the easy route out of it and not challenging yourself to do these different things that perhaps you actually can do these poses or
Yeah.
because some you guys do, and I'm like, no.
Well,
Okay,
I'm
maybe
also a
I'll
big
try
believer. Yeah, I'm a big believer that not everybody is meant to just drop into the splits. I don't think that's going to serve every person out there.
No.
But if your body is designed for that and that feels good, then you're maybe one of the few that it is. So not that that's a goal, but if we're in a standing posture, can we maybe deepen a little bit just to make it a little bit more challenging? If it, as long as it feels safe, then of course, right? We
Yeah.
don't want to, take the easiest route and think that we're doing our best yoga because then we're cheating ourselves.
Yeah, and I love that because I think that's so true is that,
Yeah.
we often, like for me, it was like that was kind of like it was eye-opening when he said that to me because I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, why am I doing that? So, you know,
Yeah.
I
It's
love yoga.
stories attached.
Yeah.
Oh, so many
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
attached.
Yeah.
And yeah, your class was wonderful when we took it. And yeah, some of it was like, okay, nope, not doing that one, or yep, doing that one,
Well, that was challenging. But, oh, we did
Well,
it.
and I love that I do empower people to do that. So half the time we'll have a few people doing completely something different,
Right.
but that's really good. That's honoring your body too, as long as you're not avoiding something, right? Like,
Yeah.
but if you have, let's say, a really like a knee injury that can't do a certain thing, there's something else you can do, right? So I think that's a really good way of honoring your body.
Right.
Yeah. And I think every day we show up to our mat, we come as a different person. So some days our knees are going to be sorer than other days. So, honoring yourself in that way of today my knees are sore, today I can't do that. Oh,
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm good. I can do, 10 of those. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
perfect, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And some days are more restful and some days are more active.
Right.
yeah.
That's we all have those yin and yang into our practice. I think if you're always doing one, let's say you're always going for a gentle practice, then like are you getting any of that yang energy? Like maybe not through yoga, but are you working out or are you doing something that invites that energy in, or vice versa? We do need both of them.
Yeah.
Right. I think too, the
Yeah.
nice thing with yoga is balance because as I mature in life, I'm always challenging my balance. Like put your socks on or put your pants on without holding on to a
Yeah.
chair and things like that. Hold your core and that type of thing. So, I think with yoga, it does give you your balance, and that's really important for everyone. Doesn't matter the age. But particularly as you would start to mature, because you want to keep that balance on so you don't fall, right? That's huge
Yeah.
on my list of things not to do. So,
Great.
so as long as I got the balance in there, and I think yoga teaches that really well, because you're
Yeah,
constant.
fall prevention is big, right?
Yeah,
So any of the standing balancing poses, you'll notice that your feet they might get that tremble, those micro trembles, and you might feel like you're wobbling all over. And I always joke that it gets really windy in class. It's okay, and stay safe. You might fall over, but you can come back up. And but all those micro movements that in our head we might be saying, "See, I'm not good at yoga," or "See, I'm really struggling." You are teaching all those muscles this beautiful strength. They're actually kind of recalibrating. So you'll notice if you do that on the regular that those trembles tend to get less and less, and you've just built this strength in your root system that is your balance.
Right.
So that is part of it too. I think we just get in those stories of, oh, I'm embarrassed. And no, everybody's finding some degree of struggle, and that is why we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Well, and some days all we want to do is shavasana.
Absolutely. Yep. There's a
I'm not
practice
lying.
called yoga. There's a yoga nidra is a lot of people are like, I'm just going to come and have a little sleep because it's known as yogic sleep. But it can be just such a beautiful, restful practice. But it also goes deeper into those limiting beliefs and it helps to rewrite those stories. And that can be quite profound as well. So that's something I'm teaching on the regular as well.
Nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, the very, very
Yeah.
first yoga nidra class that I went to, I bawled. Like, get all comfy, and like she came around and got us all like cozied in, and then started doing her thing, and I'm just like bawling. I'm like, I don't even know how long I cried for, but
Yeah.
it was so releasing and so wonderful. And then I've also been to some that I've just like conked out and gone to sleep since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love that, and I love that you offer that. And it seems like with you, you offer all kinds of different yogas, and like some of them are your basic yogas, and some of them are fun yogas. And I think that's great because then it just shows people like you can do these things and move your body and still have fun and still, get the mindfulness out of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some days I love to model the poses that I physically find challenging and I feel ridiculous in because I think that is what at least we feel like at some point on our mat, like, see, I feel ridiculous or miserable in this pose. I'm like, I have those too. And I think we learn a lot putting ourselves in those poses. So I will do those as well and humor myself as we move through. And I think it just
You
lets
look good.
people know that, yeah, that's just part of the practice and it's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are a couple of the poses that you don't
So
like?
my body, it makes me laugh what bodies can do because I can do certain things that people love to say, oh, you're so flexible. Yeah, but I also have the hardest time just doing a lotus pose, that's sitting cross-legged where your feet are really tucked in. My body's like, no, we don't like that. So I do my best, but it feels miserable to me. But then
Right.
I can pop into the splits like nobody's business. So it doesn't make, and I know my body that that means there are some imbalances, so I work on strength as well as stretching. But I think everybody has a pose that is easier for some people and really challenging for others. And there's no better than or right or wrong. It's just how bodies are.
Yeah.
So giving that permission.
Yeah.
As long as we're trying, as long as
Well,
you're
and
trying.
not even that it's always a goal, right? Like,
Yeah.
do I need to get into this particular pose? Maybe that's not the most nurturing for you, but what muscles are is that working? Maybe you can do it in a different pose.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's where a teacher
Okay.
can help you. Like, so we might feel like, oh, I had to do it differently. I'm not good. No, you can do, a lot of people groan when we do frog pose. That's kind of that, it's kind of like that hockey goalie stretch that you see a lot.
Mhm.
But a lot of people really groan at that. You can flip over on your back and do that. You get the exact same targeting in your muscles, but it can be gentler on the joints. That's perfect, right?
Well,
So like there's no point in trying to wreck your knees just because you want to get into a certain pose.
yeah.
There's usually an alternative.
I think that says too, it's good to see go to an instructor like yourself, a teacher. That way you're getting the lessons, you're doing it the right way. You're not hurting the body. You're not, because I know even when I was doing the squats last night, I didn't hold my knees properly, and I thought, whoa, I'm going to feel that in my back tomorrow, and I am. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think when you have a teacher that's showing you, then you aren't going to feel that so much in a bad way. You're going to still maybe be sore, but it's going to be because you've actually done good to your body, not bad, right?
The muscles
So,
are, yeah, they're recovering, which is what you want.
Right.
And I think getting to know your body cues and awareness of how your body feels, because not everybody is tuned into that. And that's a practice in itself to like, oh, I feel this in my body, and I can just a slight little adjustment can make that, be better for that particular pose, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I suppose too, we have that like because I know for myself a lot of times I've done yoga and I've like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And I have not said something to the instructor where that's probably where I should be saying, hey, I'm like having a hard time getting into this because I think we sometimes have that fear of speaking out in that way of,
With all the
not
people
doing this
there.
right.
Yeah.
What if I'm the only one? Which I'm probably
Absolutely.
not, but
Yeah. I think I call it we're very Canadian. We just don't want to we don't want to draw attention to ourselves, or we don't want to be a problem, or sometimes the ego is like I can just pretend I know how to do it, or I can just tough it out. But if you think about it, are we really serving ourselves in that? So maybe talking to the instructor afterwards for some guidance on it would be appropriate, or maybe that's where you just take a break if it's really not serving you and come back to the next pose. But yeah, it can be really hard. That's part of the practice too, is not worrying about judgment, self-judgment, or feeling judgment from others, right?
yeah.
Right.
And I know before we got on air, we were talking about meditation and dropping into meditation. So I'd love if we can talk a little bit about that for people and just some of what you were telling us, kind of going into that. That would be great,
Yeah,
helpful for people.
sure. So I'll do initial breath meditations usually before most classes, and I think just that 5 to 10 minutes gives that little bit of buffer, like we were talking about, from the busyness of your day. Usually there's this mad rush to get to the yoga studio and then hurry up and zen, right? We always joke about like this coming in the door hot and get on your mat and now you're supposed to just meditate. Not many people can do that, and probably including myself. So that is just that buffer to tune the senses into dropping into the body, right? Because we can't normally just do that. So we begin to listen to the senses of the body, whether that's hearing, sense the temperature, sense your breathing. And it really is a short amount of time, and you can just see the physical bodies begin to drop. And that is so powerful that I love to tell people in your busy days that you can just go have a bathroom break and just do 5 minutes of breathing, and how nurturing that can be, and a really good stress management tool, just really centering. I found one of my stress responses is humming. I didn't even know this about myself. I did a whitewater rafting or whitewater kayaking weekend, and that was way out of my comfort zone. And I went down some rapids on this kayak and I was humming the whole time. And I have learned since that humming it is this frequency that vibrates into your vagus nerve, and it actually soothes your nervous system. So without, actually conscious of what I was doing, I was telling my body, you're safe. Even though I didn't feel it, you're safe. You got this. It's okay. And it's a form of self-regulation, right? So
I
there's
love
many tools that can get you into that meditative state. So meditation can be as simple as shutting off the sensory of closing the eyes. Not everybody likes to do that. It can just be a soft gaze where your vision starts to blur. That's fine too. But you're not taking in all the sensory of typical vision. And then typically you'll go into tuning into your breath and being aware of how breath moves, because breath is breathing us during the day. We're not always conscious of how the breath is moving. And a lot of times in our busy day, our breath is higher in our chest. But you'll notice in most classes, you take that time to really let the breath come lower into the breath, expand into the back ribs. Those are intentional breaths that we often won't do, especially if we're in a stress state. We're in that we might be chased by a bear kind of mode, right? So we better take short breaths because that's going to help. um,
Not.
it's giving the permission to the body again to drop through those layers, and we don't have to be in that guarded state. So, meditation can look like just becoming aware of the senses. There's so many different ways you can do it. One that I did recently at a retreat was it's called a loving kindness meditation. And that's one I think I'll do on the regular. It's you can look up a script for that if you'd like to see how it is, but it is a beautiful way of sending a love vibration out into the world. And one of the challenging parts about that is it's not only to the people you want to send love to, it's to the people that you find really difficult to send love to the challenging people in your life. That can be really hard, but it's a beautiful, beautiful way to meditate. So I like to do short meditations, audio for myself, sometimes just in stillness, but I still work on being regular with that too. So I think some people put yoga teachers up on this pedestal that we have all the practices down pat. No, we can be a hot mess too. So it's being real and just doing the practices that you need in those moments, right?
I
Yeah.
love that you say that because I think that is so true. And it is nice to hear, giving yourself that vulnerability to say to people, yeah, yes, sometimes, like, right, that's not for me. And I love about the loving kindness meditation because I think it's so funny when we're doing that, especially if we're doing something worldly and, there's just so much chaos in the world. And to actually send that love and kindness out to people that,
Yeah.
we sometimes are judgy because we're people. So that
Oh,
happens.
yeah. We love to be like, oh, judging is so wrong when we're saying that we're actually judging somebody. We
Right.
all judge. We all make that initial judgment of someone when we're meeting them. Like it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's where it holds us, if it is a negative, perhaps. But that's just part of human nature, I believe.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And the breathing, I've done that so many times, like having a stressful day or whatever's happening, and I'll just like go to the bathroom and I'm doing like the four-part breath. I'm like, okay, I got
Yeah.
this. Just breathe in and breathe out, right? If you don't know what that is, it's like breathe in, breathe out, just really nice deep breaths, and it does. It just centers you
Calms you.
back down, and you're just like, okay, I got this. I don't have to leave.
It's such a powerful tool that I forget, right? You have to remind yourself to take this conscious breath. I work with children and they're learning to regulate their emotions and they can get into this, frantic state. And the biggest thing I'm like, take a big breath and I'll breathe with them because they don't have that ability. And even as adults, when we're in a heightened state, we may not have that. So just that reminder to take that full breath is such a powerful tool. And I love that translates into them early on, that they know that's a good tool for them, right?
Yeah.
That's yoga in its basic form for them.
I just did that the other day with my mother too. She was anxious. She gets real anxious. She's 93. So when she gets anxious, she starts to do that short breath, sort of thing. And it's like, so I was telling her, Mom, slow down. I don't
Yeah.
think I can do that. Sort of thing. Yeah, you
You could
can.
guide her. You could
Yeah.
get her to put a hand on her belly button,
Yeah. I'll tell
feel
her
the
that
breath,
next time.
and then tell her to breathe in her nose and out her nose and breathe with her. You're going to
Yeah.
be the teacher in that instance. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was
Wow.
telling that. I said, slow down, Mom. Just breathe. It's going to be okay. And
That
she
might come
finally,
across as like calm down, and we like that's great. How do I
well,
in the
she's
moment? It's
also
not always.
she's also 93. They don't like to be told then, right? So so you have to put it in a very delicate way. Just try it.
Did you both come to the ball rolling class at the retreat as well?
I don't think so. No.
No.
I
Oh, you
see that
didn't.
you're
Okay.
doing that this year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another form that is a really cool way of, so it's essentially using lacrosse ball type. We'll use a set of two to get into the fascia layers. And just in a nutshell, fascia is this beautiful sticky substance that kind of interweaves throughout the whole body. It's around muscles, ligaments, tissues, in, around, it supports. They're learning more and more about the fascia connection to mental health, to gut health. They're just learning more and more. It's a real, you could go down that rabbit hole of learning about fascia. It is really cool. And the keeping it hydrated is the secret to feeling that ease of movement, to aging well. So practices like yin puts good stress on those like ligaments, tissues, bones, and the fascia, so that you get this more hydration, and with that, you get better movement. So the rolling class, if you could pick one spot to roll, I would say roll the soles of your feet because that is your root. We get that plantar fasciitis, we get lower body stiffness. If you think about this, those stretchy exercise bands, I think they're just exercise bands.
Yeah.
If you were to step on one and hold it up the back line of your leg all the way to your low back, and then you were to bend over, you could feel the tautness of that rubber band. Imagine that as your fascia and the amount that that puts stress on. If you were to roll your feet, it helps affect that whole line right there, all the way up into the glute, holding tightness in our glutes, our hips, all of that, knees, all of it can be affected. So feet are pretty powerful just to roll if you had to pick one spot.
Wow. So that would help if you were having knee pains or ankle or
Can
Hip.
at least support it.
toes
Sure.
or,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Because
just
it's
rolling the
all
very sole of
anatomy.
your foot on like a lacrosse, like a harder little,
Yep.
because they're a bit
So
harder,
you
right?
can sit on a chair and just roll. You can roll both feet. Do not do both feet standing up, please. No party tricks. You can control the pressure, right? And again, it's the same guidelines. If it causes pain, then no, you want to make this feel like sensation, but not at all painful. So someone who's an active plantar fasciitis, it might be too painful, so you don't want to push through that. But if you can feel those tight spots and you want to kind of play with rolling around in those areas, you might press in and give some nice deep pressure. And then in the class, we do 90 minutes of it, and it goes just so fast.
Mhm.
We work into all areas of the body, even into the face. There's pressure points. It's kind of like a self acupressure, I would say. Places that people get trigger points for headaches and migraines. It's a really good trigger spots that we can work on. So usually when we're done that class, they feel like they've had a deep massage.
Yeah.
Nice.
I get a
Yeah.
lot of
I'm like,
grunts and
I'm just
groans.
imagining, I'm like, oh, guilty as I'm
Yeah,
walking out, right?
yeah. And then so usually after that class, people are like, I'm like, I bet the sporting stores are going to be overloaded. Everyone's out getting those lacrosse balls. But having, if you spend time watching movies in the winter, have a set there. You can be down on the floor and you can do a little bit of work there. Um, or people are shuttling kids in the car and they're waiting in the car a lot. You could do a little bit of, rolling there. There's a lot of, I could go on this topic forever. You got me started. But yeah. Um, you can do a little bit of rolling prior to your yoga class. And once you, let's say, rolling the feet, for example, they've done some really cool research where you can do a standing forward fold where you go down to touch your toes and they'll measure whatever your distance is, roll your feet, and then do it again. And they've noticed in some people up to 4 times increase in their mobility just from rolling a short amount of time because you've loosened into those fascia, those tight layers, right? It's like this elastic network that doesn't want to let go. So it's got a really powerful effect, and it's really good to do that prior to stretching because it warms into the body, but it also lets you get into it a little bit easier.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So do you
Yeah.
offer that when you at your studio?
Yeah, so I just teach at a studio, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I always have the balls available, and I try and teach my students that, okay, before I even come in to teach, grab some of those and do a little bit of rolling prior to the class. Sometimes we'll incorporate it into the class, but it's just so tricky in a 1 hour class to do all the things. So, but we will do that, and I'll do a workshop once in a while, like a introduction to rolling, because once you know the techniques, you can do them on the regular. Um, and just do snippets. You don't have to do 90 minutes all the time. You can do 5 minutes of feet, or might just roll into your jaw. Like if you tend to clench your jaw when you sleep, maybe that's a good spot to look at. Um, a lot of us are really tight in the chest. We get that hunch posture. So rolling just under the collarbone, I get a lot of groans from people doing that space. They don't
Right.
realize, it's like going for a massage and they find that trigger spot you didn't know you had,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it can be really powerful. There's the glutes seem to be a big, powerful one, and also the just above the knee, if you lay on your stomach and get into the quads, those typically are big muscle groups with lots of reaction. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that
lots of
does.
good spaces. Yeah. So you can play with it. That if you want to try it at home, I do have a video on my website. You can just go and try it out. It'll teach you
Okay.
through it. There's no
Okay.
charge for that. Um, you can just play with it with the guidelines of as long as there's no pain. And if you get tingling, you're just on a nerve. So you're going to want to get off of that because we want you moving okay. You don't want like
Yeah.
any, muscles that are reacting or spazzing. So as long as you're okay there, then you can do it.
Perfect. Well, that leads me right into where can people find you?
Well, thanks. Well, you can find me in Banff, spring and fall for sure at the wellness. I teach regular classes in Okotoks, and some of those classes I also do live on Zoom. So people that are out of area that want to join in, they can just message me and I can give them the links to join in.
Oh,
Right.
Um, and then I'm bouncing around throughout the province, throughout the world, doing a couple of retreats. So this year we did a retreat in Turner Valley that was all about digital detox, coming off of your technology and really going inward. That was a really powerful
I bet.
um, weekend. We just did one in southern Alberta that was all about the hygge theme. It's a Norwegian theme of coziness, stillness, intentional rest, which I think we all need. That was a beautiful concept. And the one in the summer is all about our inner child joy. So that's the one with the paddleboard or waterfront yoga, all the things. So those are some of the places you can find me on
great.
my website too.
So, what is your website?
My website is omiesyoga.ca. Omi as in Om, but Omies. Omies yoga.ca.
Perfect. I'll put that in the show notes. And you're also on Instagram, correct?
I'm on Instagram. You can find me in all the places. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, we have loved having you on with us. And our favorite new question is if you had one final word to say or a thought
Leave.
to leave with everybody, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Final word. Well, maybe
Or
it's just
one
my
statement.
statement. I think how can you live your best life today? What is it something today that you can do that's going to bring out that joy? I think that's where I try to live. So I can share that
Wonderful.
with them if
Thank
that
you.
resonates.
Yes,
There.
that's beautiful. Thank you very much. I know it puts everybody on the spot, but it's just so, I think that it just has some thing with it where we can just leave that, one piece of advice for everybody. And I find then it really comes from the genuine soul too, right?
Yeah, it
So,
Yeah,
does.
don't overthink it. I think those that kind of thought about living your best life today because we always like one day I'll do that or tomorrow I'll do
Yeah,
that. And that never comes. So what can you do today that's going to bring a little bit of joy or maybe accountability or whatever it is you need in that moment?
exactly.
that's
Nice.
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's not promised, right? So
No, that's the
may
Do
truth.
it
as well
today.
do it just right today.
That's
Well,
right.
thank you so much for joining us
You.
again. It's been just so wonderful. We just love it. And I'm glad to know that you're on Zoom. I'll be checking that out myself.
Yeah, yeah.
You?
Well, yeah.
So
Awesome.
thank you so much for being with us.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Till next time.
And everybody
Okay.
else, we'll see you next time.
You bet.